Linda and Becky, we are here today on an occasion that I didn't realize would be so auspicious.
I didn't until last night.
We had the leak last night of this draft number 1, overturning Roe v. Wade. It's unbelievable. How do you react to it? Were you expecting this, Linda, or
No,
Becky?
I was completely disappointed.
Yeah, well, you would think that there would have been a denial from some spokesperson for the court. Is that unusual if they said this is certainly not true, we don't even have a draft? What are you thinking about? Not a word, not one word.
Yeah, I know.
It's a double damnation for me. There's nothing more horrible than having people betray the legal profession if this is true. So it hit me because I knew I was outraged, and Linda's mentor, Sarah Hughes, was a very reputable person. I've asked Linda how she thought Sarah Hughes would respond, and
She would have spoken up.
Absolutely. Well, you did clerk for Sarah T. Hughes, and of course, she is best remembered for rushing down to Love Field on November 22nd, 1963, to swear in Lyndon B. Johnson as president aboard Air Force One after the Kennedy assassination. It was remarkable. You clerked for her, and she used to tell her clerks, or so you have said, to stand for something.
Yes.
And how did you make your way to the cause of abortion? How did that become the issue for which you stood?
It was interesting because Sarah Weddington and I had both been at the University of Texas in Austin.
Sarah, you invited Sarah to join the cause, and she said yes. And you had been doing some research in the SMU library.
It was hard to go down and find cases that were arising in other states.
But you found this case. He was exonerated. He had done an abortion, and exonerated on the grounds that the law was unconstitutionally vague, and was a violation of privacy.
Right.
Is that where that first occurred to you? The privacy issue.
Bayless,
because before that I'd filed a case called.
Was it the Griswold versus Connecticut?
Griswold versus Connecticut, and that was just because that was just. And that was an easy one to win.
Yeah, it was about 1965, and this overturned the ban on contraception in Connecticut on the basis of the 14th Amendment and due process.
Due process,
being deprived of privacy without due process. That was your other great building block.
Yeah, it really was.
That Bachelor Buchanan, she wrote the brief for that for McCluskey.
Yes, this was the sodomy law in Texas.
Right.
And he managed to get that overturned, at least for married couples. So you had a track record. Well, now there are those who worry, looking probably back to Griswold and due process and privacy. That was a contraception case.
Right.
There are those who worry now that contraception could be next.
Oh, that'd be terrible.
Well, you had to have a pregnant woman to file this case.
Yes,
And how did you find Norma McCorvey?
Through Henry McCluskey.
Really? This is your friend. You've known him since you were a child. Went to the Baptist church together over in Gaston Avenue.
Gaston Avenue Baptist Church.
She was pregnant with her 3rd child. Felt she should have an abortion. Well, what about her so-called deathbed confession? When she died, not so many months ago, she said, well, she had never really cared about the issue. She was paid to be an actress.
Yeah, that's what I saw that. She claimed on her deathbed thing that some of the people had paid her.
You didn't pay her, did you?
No. In fact, this has been one of the things we never promised her that she'd get any money. We was just saying it would make it easier for other women. They wouldn't have to go through what she did.
Well, you filed the suit against Henry Wade. Why Henry Wade?
Because he
was a district attorney.
He was the district attorney.
That was the logical thing to do.
Yes.
The fact that you had Sarah Hughes, Goldberg, and Taylor on the court, it's very rare for Dallas to have a more liberal court than Austin.
Well, that was a 3-judge federal panel. Sarah T. Hughes, we remember well. Of course, William Mack Taylor went on to do the school desegregation case, very controversial case. Busing was involved, and of course, Judge Irving Goldberg was on the appellate court at the time. He was remarkable.
Incredible.
And he said something I've never forgotten. He said, the purpose of the court is to somehow come to an accommodation between the laws that are passed and the people who live under those laws. Now, how are the courts going to mediate between this Supreme Court decision we're about to receive in June, probably, and the 69% of Americans who favor some form of abortion?
Yeah, I know. That's just what gets me. I keep reading about like sometimes I see not like the Guttmacher Institute is the only one that I know that keeps supposedly good statistics on this, and they always show a fairly substantial majority of Americans favor pro-choice.
Yes, yeah, I think they do. Well, you were able to go directly to the Supreme Court because, for some reason, this 3-judge panel said, yes, it's unconstitutional, but we will not enjoin against
yeah, that's it,
enforcing
because and then Henry Wade said he was still going to enforce the law, so then that's how it got up to the Supreme Court.
But by then, the case had been joined by a married couple. Remember, the married couple said, look, this abortion ban is going to restrict our choice.
Oh,
in
yeah,
the future.
yeah, that was the Kings, and they were actually Marsha King.
And there was a doctor who was in the case.
Right, he was allowed to be in the case, and then later they just cut it down to Roe. They merged Roe and Doe. The Roe case was assigned to Sarah Hughes, and the Doe case was assigned, I believe, to Goldberg.
And that's how
then Sarah Hughes merged both to her court, and that's how they got merged.
Then you went to the Supreme Court. It was a very interesting court, and all male, of course. Some of them were Republicans. Democrat wrote the decision. Warren Burger, Chief Justice, was with it. Potter Stewart, appointed by Eisenhower, Republican. He voted with it, with you. So it wasn't as political as it is now. Well, let's go to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. 1993, her confirmation hearing is going on in the United States Senate. Appointee of Bill Clinton, and she said that of course she favored choice. In fact, she said it very eloquently, and this is a paraphrase, but she said to restrict a woman's right to choose is to disadvantage her because of her sex. That's clear. But she went on to say that she thought it would have been better if the Supreme Court had simply not set up the framework.
Oh, yeah.
What is it? It's completely permissible in the first trimester. The states can act to restrict with restrictions in the second and the third trimester, perhaps even ban it. Is that about?
I think that's about what it was. Yeah.
That this got everybody all upset, and it would have been better just to send it back to the states with the ban. I mean, overturning the ban. What do you think of that?
But when you argued that, it never occurred to you that Blackmun would put that in this decision. It was kind of squirrely, so that's where you have to go.
What did he say in the decision?
Blackmun put the viability issue.
Oh, is it really?
Blackmun was the one that wrote that in there.
But that came from Planned Parenthood versus Casey.
But in the original decision, Blackmun was putting the viability, put that in his arguments.
Oh, really?
He did, and then it digressed from the other cases through the years on the chipping it away. And that's what you're really looking at when you trace the history, is who put the weak type of issue, even if they had gone 15 weeks on the Mississippi case or even Texas 6, you started playing this chip away game on the weeks, and that seems squirrely. And back to Ginsburg and the other, it's a silly argument to be having on the weekage. Yeah,
well then there's Planned Parenthood versus Casey, which was about, 1992, something like that. And it was a Pennsylvania case. Sandra Day O'Connor wrote the opinion. She was joined by Kennedy, she was joined by David Souter, and by John Paul Stevens. But it was all over the map. Then you had Rehnquist concurring dissenting. You had Blackmun concurring dissenting. You had Rehnquist, of course, dissent, period, along with Whizzer White again. But all over the place. But O'Connor, he said, yes, the 14th Amendment due process clause still holds. Roe v. Wade still holds. But they gave up the third trimester, and it became the test of viability, as Becky was saying. And the states could indeed make some adjustments, shall we say, as long as they were not an undue burden for the woman. Well, that opened the door, did it not, in a pretty significant way? Then came, the doctor has to have admitting privileges at a hospital.
Remember those? Yes,
remember that?
Yes,
and then came the abortion clinic must have architectural zoning standards that the hospitals must meet, anything they could think of. Is there going to be a way to chip away now at this reversal?
I think it would probably be pretty messy, but I still think a fairly strong majority of Americans still believe in Roe versus Wade.
Well, thank you so much, Linda and Becky. It's been fascinating talking to you on what is a historic day. You made history, and now we're Moving on with that history.
Yeah, we're going to have to
Exactly
keep fighting for our
where.
history.
Kipling is not the best poet on a number of subjects, but on this one I do think of him. And you remember the poem, "If you can see the truth that you have spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, and see the things you gave your life to, broken, and stoop and build them up again with worn out tools." Is that not where we are?
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, so on with the tools.